Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Allah fi kulli umri esain. Allah fi kulli umri amji. Innahu Rabbi yuhibbu mukhlisin. Wala yukharihu mu'minin. Innahu Rabbi yukarihu mujrimin, munafiqin, kafirin, ظالمين الذين يحاربون أمره وسنته وشريعته ومحمد هو سيدنا ومحبوبنا إنه كان رسول النبي صلوات ربي تسليمته عليه. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh للإخواني وأخواتي في دين وفي أفريقيا وأوروبا وأمريكا وآسيا وكل مكان. السلام على من يتبع هدى لإخواني وأخواتي كل مكان. أهلا وسهلا بكم. كيف حالكم مع الله؟ Assalamu alaikum, my dear sister Amina, my dear brother Isaac, and I have the culmination day of the last program. But before that, I want to preface that by saying that we live in turbulent times, and I would never hold any person out of fear, because we know the enemy is after the strong Muslims. And I understand, I lived in the West, and you have to work. You cannot survive in the West, especially the United States, without working. You cannot. And I would never ask anyone to put themselves in jeopardy or any other type of situation in peril by watching my program or any other scholars that the enemy, the Tubab, deems as a threat. And it's really, in essence, a shame of how filthy and the degradation that's coming out from our government, American government, and the hypocrisy of it has been exposed by many different governments now who expose them for their killing of African Americans. Yet they go after the Islamic students of knowledge and scholars. And yet they say nothing to pornography and the vicious human trafficking of African women to Europe and to other places, even into Asia, even into the Middle East. They're quiet about that. But yet they want to circumvent programs like mine who give knowledge and exposes the Tuba for what he is. I will say this in Arabic because we have people that will listen. Innahu salibiyin ladina yuharibuna amar Allah wa amar rasuli. Thumma yuharibuna muslimin ladina ya'budu Allah wahida. Innahum haribuna Sheikh Islam wa the ulama fuqaha bil ghayri haq hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakeel alayhim. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum, my dear sister Abina. I had to put that out in Arabic because we do have people that do speak Arabic. And they also are learning English, and some speak it, but I want to make sure they understand the gist of what I said. So I spoke in Arabic about what this enemy is doing. One of the things that this enemy does not like is the Nwaaqid al-Islam, and they don't like our Aqeedah. And this is why they go after our scholars, and unfortunately, many, and I understand what's happening. Many of our scholars are being killed all over the place, but mainly unfortunately, in Muslim states. But in the other states, they put them in jail. They have draconian ways to get them. But the essence of the Aqeedah Islamiyah is under attack. And this is why, like I say, we have many scholars, and I know, and many people now, they will not tackle this because they live in the West. I understand that. But the best for them to do is just don't talk about it. But don't go to feed the enemy by talking yourself, some of these scholars that's in America who have went to University of Medina, who have went to Azhar, went to Yemen, and they make snide remarks about it. They know the significance of the Nwaaqid al-Islam Ashra. And they themselves, when they talk, are very close to themselves to have apostated because of that. It's best for them to quiet and don't talk about it. It's best. And I understand that because why? We know what's happening. We know what's happening in the Western world. We know that in some places. What is happening is atrocious. But we live in that type of climate, and our Prophet ﷺ has said this. He talked this issue out, and he said many things, and it's come to fruition. So we have to be very careful, students of knowledge in particular, that if we cannot tackle a subject, we don't tackle it, and we move away from it. No, we understand that, but don't feed the enemies by making comments that suggest there's something wrong when somebody, a student of knowledge, whatever, gives the tafsir of the Nwaaqid al-Islam. Nwaaqid al-Islam Ashra. Yeah. So I had to say that. With that said, today I wanted to culminate the Nwaaqid al-Islam Ashra, the nullifiers of Islam 10, and now we're going to move into another area. After that, we're going to go back into the Aqeedah again of Iman. You say, well, Yahya, I don't understand why we spent so much time. I only spent a little time on the Nwaaqid al-Islam Ashra, because the Aqeedah, you have to have the basis to understanding first what is required, what Subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Then you build upon that. And then he begins to tell you, okay, this is what we call kufr and this is what we call shirk. And then he builds again around to put a wall around that to keep you from that. Then he gives you the more advanced stages of kufr and shirk, which is what? The Nwaaqid al-Islam. This is why it protects you every which ways. When you learn the Aqeedah, those scholars, my brothers, who students of knowledge who don't teach this, I understand this. Because where they live and the positions they're in, and they skip around it. I understand that. I understand it truly. And no one can sit in the seat of another brother when he has children, family that he has to take care, especially in the draconian state like the United States is right now. And they are going after and killing, and they have been killing African Americans for 400 years. And then they want to sugarcoat it by trying to go after certain people when they have dirty hands and blood on their hands for killing my people, okay? Killing my people for 400, near 500 years. And then putting programs to even circumvent them even more. And even now putting programs to prevent them from going back to Africa. And yet they want to go after people like me who just want to give the truth and want to spread the religion of our religion and to only practice the deen Allah, and that's it. They go after us for that. And yet their hands is full of blood, and it still continues to be full of blood. So even if they take my life or they take the lives of the other Muslims who do that, we will see bi-ifnillah Jinnah, when they're going to go straight to the fire. There's no question in the grave for this Tubab bastard. That's what I'm gonna call him, who does these things like this. He goes straight to the fire. This is why he wants you to go to believe like him and take what he tells you so he can send you to the fire as well. This is what he's doing. And he tries to discourage you from following the students of knowledge and the scholars, because why? When you follow that, you're on your way to the path of the righteous, and to go to Jannah, to heaven. This is what we want. So he tried to keep you from that. He tries to tell you to follow what he tells you to follow, so that way he can bring you with him to the fire. You got to always remember that. Subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that in the Quran many times about this tubab, this particular tubab, the one who does this time. Not all tubab, those who do this, who are genocidal racists. So with that said, like I said, I had to say that. And the last thing I would say, and then I'm start to finish up on this, the African born in America is returned to Africa. I don't care what restraints the racist tubab puts, they're going to make their way to Africa because they're being called. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is also going to bring the Muslims, inshallah ta'ala. Well, I'm almost certain he will bring them into Africa. Some are already coming. It's happening. One of the things I saw that's a problem is that we have established African-American groups that are in Ghana, Gambia, and other places. What is remiss about them is that they have been discriminatory towards the African-American Muslim. And the program that Saeed Abubakar made here the other day, he alluded to that when he asked a question about these groups, why they do certain things and they don't include him in it. And he asked because he was Muslim. Most likely that's what the situation is. This is going to backfire on these groups like Black Sit and these other groups that I'm talking about now, who shun the Muslims or try to handpick certain Muslims they like that considered modern. They're no different in that regard than the Tubab. They should not do that. The African Americans who come over to Gambia or to Ghana, to the African American Association, places like that, they need the same resources, and you should extend your hand to them. Don't give them the premise, okay, yes, you're Black, you're African born in America, and then the minute he finds out that you are Muslim, then they don't contact you and they leave you on your own. One of these days, when the African American Muslims becoming more into a position of power and strength in these states, you're going to be running to them to ask for assistance, and they're going to turn their back on you. Certain ones will turn their back and say, look, hey, I remember when you first came, you turned your back on all the Muslims. So my suggestion to my brothers and sisters that are in these groups like this, you embrace the Africans coming from the Caribbean or any other place. If they're Muslim or non-Muslim, Hebrew or whatever, or they don't believe in anything, they have the same needs and desire. They were called to come to Africa. You should meet that. You have the resources right now. Use that. There doesn't have to be some division. You just go and assist them. That's all I'm asking. But there is one. And then there's one of the brothers in Gambia. I have to talk about him. Because why? He makes allude to things about Islam. I'm talking about this one. He's on TV a lot. He's been there. And this hurts their position. They want citizenship in Gambia. But yet and still, these associations, they're good. Okay. I try to support them. I look at their program. But when they go off board, then that's when I drop my hands and say, I'm through with them. And I see this prevalent thing that's happening among them. 99.9% of them that join the association have nothing to do with Africa. They're there only to get what they got to get out of it. It's wrong. They are not there to learn Mandinka. They're not there to learn Wolof. They're not there to learn the culture or even to embrace themselves. They want to bring their LA lingo from LA into Gambia and keep it going. They don't care about going to be African and whatnot. And then they hold even a difference against the American Muslims. So I talk against them right now because it is wrong. And I'm a Muslim and I must talk the truth and I must say the truth. And I don't care what Black said and those other ones say about me. I could care less. If they want to talk to me, they can contact me. I don't care. I'll talk to them and tell them what I feel. But me as an old man now, as an old African man, I see this and I'm only pointing it out because we should talk about that. And it's a shame when an African born in America who's Muslim comes in, he can't get assistance. But when you are African born in America and you're not a Muslim, then all of a sudden they embrace you. It is wrong, and it's going to backfire on Black Sit and this African American Association and these other ones through West Africa who are quote unquote assisting only the non-Muslims. It's wrong, and I'm here to defend the Muslims because I'm a Muslim. But I will say this to you: I don't need their help. I don't want their help. I don't care about their help. In my regard, I don't care. because I have subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's others who are Muslims who will assist me because of my belief. I don't need them. But we have brothers and sisters who do need them, and you should assist them. So with that said, like say, everybody knows how I am. My sister Abina knows I am ever since I've been a boy. I never have been, one who's scared of things. I was a bad boy when I was little. I was quite bad with rocks and everything else. I was something, but I always didn't have this kind of fear, and I don't have it now. So, okay, my brothers and sisters, now we talk about the Nwaaqid Islam, the 10 nullifiers of Islam. How important they are is because the Muslims need their Aqeedah, and they have to understand it correctly. And they have to understand the nullifiers, because this is the culmination of the kufr and shirk, that when you first learn about the Aqeedah, it builds you to this point. Now it gets you to the point to where you say, okay, now I start to understand what kufr is. I understand what shirk is, and I do have some basis of iman. Now you measure yourself according to what the nullifiers are. And you look at these nullifiers, and they are something, and they're self-explanatory. As I went through the 10, except number 6, I didn't go through that. And each one has its own set of criteria that will take you from Islam. So why is this important? Because you cannot go on in your to learn your Aqeedah without knowing what takes you actually from it. I know some students now they'll concentrate only to build you to the point. But what happens is you may fall into one of these categories and you don't know it because you haven't been taught it. I prefer to teach it or give it to you so that way you have it, and that way you have this extra knowledge here to prevent you from that and your family. Some of our brothers, they won't give it because I understand they live in areas probably where they cannot. Others who can do it don't do it. And in some ways it's not right. But I understand the position of many of the brothers, especially in the United States, because if they begin to teach and to anger those in the power, they will not be able to travel. And we don't want to see that, because I want my brothers of knowledge to be able to travel. If they're invited to go to Philadelphia, they're invited to go to Albany, New York, I want them to be able to travel. If they're invited to give the khutbah in Abilene, Texas, or something like this, I want them to be able to travel for the worldly good, to promote our religion. And they can't when they're grounded because the Draconian Tubab racist stops them. So they have to measure what they can do and what they can't do. I understand that. The fortunate thing for us is that I live in a Muslim state, and a Muslim state that's in Africa and has a long-standing history of scholarship, which differs from many other African states. You say, well, Saudi Arabia, yes, they have, but you know what? You better look at some history. And you look at Morocco, you see the scholarship is off the charts. The actual development of the Arabic language, talking about the dissecting it came from what? A person who was not Arab. And it's a beautiful study, and you learn this and you teach it. He was not from the Arabian Peninsula. He was from here. You see what I mean? So from Morocco. And so this is an important news in the sense too, as Mali is, which is next door to Morocco. All this knowledge coming from all the scholars of all these eras is beautiful. And now we have this scholarship before us. We should learn it, keep it, memorize it, and then keep away from it. This is my suggestion to you to keep you on a straight path. I don't care who you are, you're going to sin. I mean, we're going to sin, and we have remedies for that. We try to do the best we can as Muslims and as human beings as well, and to gain the favor. But you cannot gain that favor of subhanahu wa ta'ala when you do not have the right mechanisms in place to worship him. That's another story altogether. Oh, my sister Abina, yeah, she's right. What she said here, We're the one people with the same struggle. We must support one another. Unity is key. She's correct in this regard because the African Americans and Africans born in America, we have been dissected, beaten, downtrodden, lynched, hung, disenfranchised for 500 years. And we don't need any other types of malaises to hit us coming from our own people. That's got to stop. That type of malaise must stop. And I just pointed it out. I'm hoping that news gets to these people here and they recant and get away from that, discriminating against the Muslim coming from America, and they won't help or assist him unless he's a quote modern Muslim and he looks a certain way and he acts a certain way, then they'll assist him. But if he looks like me, then they want to step away from them. It's wrong. It's wrong. The nullifiers of Islam, the 10, is a beautiful culmination, again, of all that could go wrong in your religion. I'm talking about you as worshiping to get you to the promised land. Now, let's look at something here. Everybody say, well, who is the person who is author of this? And he's much maligned, especially by the modern Muslims and by other Muslims who I don't understand how they can get on a scholar of this magnitude. But Muhammad bin Wahab is the founder of this. He culminated this, and he got it from the Quran and the Sunnah. And he came in at a time where shirk and kufr was again off the charts. And remember what I said. Our Prophet ﷺ said that every 100 years he always brings what we call a mujaddid, a reformer, to come to bring the people back. And subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep bringing these people on and on until Yom Kippur. So he is the author of this, and he was a well-known scholar. But in modern times, he's come under attack because there's Muslims who follow him, but they follow him blindly and they follow him wrongly. And they took in his name, which they should not do. Because when you take the name of somebody and you follow him because of that, and this is one of the attributes of subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to be very careful of that. And you follow his way. But most of them who say they quote unquote Wahhabi are not following his way. But we do have any Muslim of any stature who has any knowledge does take some things from this mujahid, okay? Mujahid, I mean, they have to take some from him because he's authored so many good books. Now, some won't take their Aqeedah from him and so forth and so on. But there's many you can take from, but you do take something from him. And his knowledge of the religion was beautiful. And he wrote a lot of things, like one of my favorites, the three fundamentals. You know, I mean, this is beautiful work to get the Muslim to bring him to the higher status and to learn his deen and to please subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the more knowledge you get, the more pleasing it is to subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he sees that you're trying to get close to him. You cannot get close to subhanahu wa ta'ala by doing, remember, nwaaqid number 10, meaning you do not learn your religion, nor do you implement it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala sees you only as what you barely do. You pray, you make some psalm, and that's all. And that's the reward perhaps you will get. And on Judgment Day, we do not know what he will do. Maybe he may send you to the fire for a while to get cleaned up, because we know that's another story altogether. It's another class. And then he send you to Jannah. But it's best to follow what our scholars have said, is to gain the knowledge and continue to gain the knowledge and implement it at the best way you can, even if you're in LA. This is the best remedy that you can find, that you can help to assist you in that time when you are questioned in the grave. And so we have to ask, what is the call? What is the dawah of when you're talking about the nullifiers of Islam, the 10? It's if you look at it in this essence, and I will say this to you quickly, I'll give you these points. One of the things about why he did this, and it's beautiful, he did it calling people to Tawheed. Because why? If you fall in Nwaaqid Islam 10, you're not in Tawheed, you're outside Tawheed. Secondly, warning the people against shirk billah, okay? Signing partners to Allah. 3, strictly following the Quran and Sunnah, the righteous predecessors of this ummah, and that which is relied upon from the sayings of the 4 imams. The 4 imams, remember the 4 great, beautiful doctrines. This is what we're talking about here. Why the Nwaaqid al-Islam, when you learn this, to keep you from doing this, you are actually the dawah. You're actually calling the people to Tawheed. You're warning the people against shirk. You are strictly trying to follow the Quran and the Sunnah and the predecessors, the 3 favorite generations. This is what he's talking about here. This is why, my brothers and sisters, it's important, you Muslims, to learn the Nwaaqid al-Islam, because when you learn it, this is what you get out of it. You get the ability to call the people to Tawheed. You get the ability to warn the people against shirk. You get the ability to follow the Quran and Sunnah in a better light. Why? Because you've learned the essence, the nuts and bolts of what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala wants. 4, and the avoiding takfir. Now, this is a issue that a lot of people we have, the avoiding the takfir, the expedition against another Muslim. This is a subject in itself, and there's 2 conditions in the tafsir of the takfir, but I won't get into that because that's a whole different class in itself. But again, what we have today is we have people who are doing this without the basis of it, meaning they will declare somebody a kafir without having any basis to do it. And they're not using the basis of what is in the conditions of the Quran and the Sunnah. This is what he's talking about here. And also, number 5, avoiding taking anyone's life except in accordance with the Sharia. You see this. Number 5, taking the life of another Muslim or any human being without right in disregard of the Quran and the Sunnah. This is important dawah, invitation, my brothers and sisters, not to take the life of a Muslim or a non-Muslim without right and not in accordance of the Quran and Sunnah. This goes against our naysayers who say that the Muslim has the right to kill even his own and kill the non-Muslims at any time he wants to get him. Say, you know what, today I'm gonna walk into LA, I'm gonna find Jews who look like Jews or who appear to be Jews, I'm gonna go kill some of them. No, that's not what we're supposed to be doing as Muslims. This is here, he's telling you, you can't do it. This is a call telling you, by learning the fundamentals of the Aqeedah, learning the Nwaaqid al-Islam, this helps you to propel yourself to what? Avoid to killing innocent human beings, period. Muslims, non-Muslims, because it is haram. And in some regards, it's disbelief when you kill for no right and kill outside of the Quran and the Sunnah. Now, what else do we know about the Nwaaqid al-Islam, and what else does it do? When you void this and when you know it and you teach it, 1, it begins to establish a Islamic state. It's coming, my brothers and sisters. Now, I'm not talking about the group that you know what happened in Syria and Iraq. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the true Islamic state that will come in the future, when we have a rightful guided Khalifa, okay? Remember those guys I talked about there? Remember that the Daifatun Mansura? These are the people he's talking about here. And so we can be part of that. Okay, we can be part of that by learning our deen and staying away from shirk and kufr and so forth, and understanding the nwaaqid al-Islam and teaching it. Second, correction and purification of the Islamic Aqeedah from shirk, bid'ah, etc. Again, when you know the nwaaqid al-Islam by heart and the tafsir of it, you have just now had something to your arsenal. The correction and the purification of the Islamic Aqeedah, Aqeedah Islamiyah in Arabic. You have now you have added some purification now to your arsenal. When you don't learn it and you don't learn the Aqeedah, you always have, like what in essence, dirty hands, so to speak. You know what I mean? But when you learn the Aqeedah and then you understand the nwaaqid, they'll take you, the nwaaqid, nullifier of Islam 10, your hands become clean and purified. This is what he's talking about here. This is what he's talking about. Now, 3, extending the effect of blessed dawah outside the Arabian Peninsula to Egypt, Morocco, Yemen, Africa. This right. His call, and because of his dawah, and because of his stressing for the Quran and Sunnah, it reached all of these, India, Pakistan. I mean, his call reached everywhere, and it's in America today. Unfortunately, I don't like to call those guys Wahhabi. I don't like that. I don't like that term. And some of them have strayed. They have adopted some extremities that, it's not right. But that's another story. I'm not going to get into that. But his call has reached many Muslims and many beautiful scholars that came after him. Now, number 4, his movement and how he presented Islam established a scholarly movement and awareness free from taqlid, meaning blind following. Remember, I told you before, don't follow anybody blindly. I don't care who he is in Islam. I don't care if it's me or anybody else. If I tell you that it's raining outside, you have the right to go and look to see if it's actually raining. There's nothing wrong in that. It's not distrust, but we're human beings when we make mistakes. And even our most famous scholars, they were human beings. Remember, they were human beings first. They are capable of making mistakes. And some have made some errors here and there, and they were corrected. But there's nothing wrong with that. When they found one hadith, something that superseded what they had said, and they graciously admitted it. There's nothing wrong with that. This is what we're talking about here. The following people blindly, you don't do it. But we have that today. We have people that go to the Salafiyah, and they follow it blindly. They don't research it. They don't understand it, and they just go to follow behind the people. They say, oh man, I like these guys. Okay, I'm gonna grow my beard down to the ground, and I'm gonna wear these certain type of clothes, and I'm gonna do certain things, and so forth, and I'm gonna be a strong Muslim. It doesn't work like that. Remember, as I said to you before, anytime you're gonna join any group, you need to investigate their Aqeedah before anything. Because remember something, my brothers and sisters. What did our Prophet ﷺ said about these groups? He said there were 73 groups. 72 will go to the fire. Yes, and only one will go make his way to Jannah. That's why you don't follow blindly. You make sure that whoever you follow is per the Quran and Sunnah, not according to their style of clothing and what they say and what they appear to be. You do not do that. You don't follow that. The people, quote unquote, call themselves Wahhabi, call themselves a Salafi, and they have super Salafi. And then you have the Sufi, okay, the Tasawwuf. You have all these different groups now. People, they hear these beautiful names. They say, hey, I'm going to go over and join the Sufi. They don't even know some of these guys' Aqeedah, and some of the Aqeedah is corrupted. And some of them go to join the groups of some of these, the Salaf, and that's the same thing. And matter of fact, some of the Salaf, these ones who think they are this, are involved in some of the Nwaaqid. Can you believe that? That's why I explained to you, my brothers and sisters, you be very careful what you join and who you get knowledge from. You got to be very careful of that. The last of that is activating the movement of authoring and publishing Islamic books. Now, this is an important issue. We have brothers today who are authoring books to spread the religion and spread it correctly. And I urge those capable of doing this, who have the right Aqeedah, learn it. But right now, the best thing, especially for the African, even the Pakistani, all the melanated people in the Muslims, period, the best thing for you to do, we have many scholars of old. We haven't touched their books. We haven't touched your books. Before you try to write a book about something about Islam, you should go and study the books of all these scholars. You know, my wife can testify to something. I always talk about something I want. I'm here in Morocco. And I told you about the Murabitun and what they had did here. And I love the system that they had developed. And we here in Morocco, we had beautiful scholars. Some you never even heard of because they didn't make the fame, but we have beautiful. And one of my favorite was Sheikh Al-Fessi. Yeah, I live in Fez, the city of Fez, Sheikh Al-Fessi and Sheikh Lumpy. I love them. And during this time, what was so beautiful, when you wanted to do something, you got a fatwa from a scholar or an imam of great knowledge. These guys of great knowledge, and they gave fatwas in order to if you needed something, like you wanted, like they wanted to start the Murabitun. They wanted to bring the Muslims, the rightfully guided Muslims, away from all the bid'ah and shirk that was going on in the villages. So they said, we want to pull away Rabat. Okay, Rabat means to pull away, to be segregated, to not hide, but to segregate. And so they got a fatwa organizing, saying, yes, you can do it. There's precedence for you to do this. So they did. And it all was history. The Murabitun, as you know, went into Andalus and kicked some butt. And they threw out the Visigoths. And I told you about Yusuf Josephine, one of my favorite Mujahideen, him, and the letter that he wrote to Alfonso, which, I mean, if you read it, what he said to him, as I always said, he had to be one bad brother. And he backed it up and he went there and beat their butts twice. When they didn't get the lesson the first time, he came back and kicked their butts the second time. And then he went on ahead and established the Murabitun as the ruling power there in Andalus, Spain, as we know it today. So this is some of the essence on why you learn the Aqeedah, why you understand the Nwaaqid, because the Nwaaqid al-Islam, the 10, is important, my brothers and sisters. You must understand that. Don't listen to someone who tell you don't, because you should. It is part of our Aqeedah. You can't. But when some of the scholars who don't do it, you understand that. Don't get on them. Don't say nothing against them, because they're under threat, and you know, and you have to understand that. And especially in the Western states, they may not want to talk, but that doesn't preclude you from not learning it. My brothers and sisters, you can pull up now that Nwaaqid is even in English. And I was shocked when I saw it, but it's not in depth. Okay, I admit that, but at least it gives you the basis. It gives you the groundwork to understand what is the Nwaaqid al-Islam Ashra. It gives you the understanding, even English. And so, you know, we are in a sorry state, and in a state that we still are being ruled and governed by some of the most evil people, and we have to understand them for what they are. And you know, I don't care. My dad said it best when he told me when I was a little boy, and I remember a long time ago, maybe Abina, she's here. I think it was the Enterprise Church there in Compton. We were, I think, maybe 6 years old or something when they firebombed it. I remember that, and you know, and my dad, how angry, and this is the racist Tuba who were living in at that time called Linwood, and we had an actual dividing line, which was funny. Luders Park in eastern part of Compton was like the dividing line. If you went past there, you were in trouble, because the white folks over there were racist. They didn't want to see us around there. And so you took a chance, but that of course changed over a period of time. But I remember the church being firebombed. We were 5, 6 years old or something like this. My dad made a comment to me. He said, you can never respect a man who goes after another man's religion. That's what my dad told me that. He said that. He said, you cannot respect a man. And it's true. When your racist Tuba goes after your religion for no reason, for what reason? Why? Why is it that he has to push us to worship him? Some of us don't want to worship him. Some of us don't want to go at his feet and kiss his feet. We don't want to do that. So why can't he just leave that be? But he insists that the African born in America go to kiss his feet and still worship him, still name our kids after him, and follow his religion. And when we say no, we want to follow the true religion. We want to be truly Muslims, follow Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, okay, and worship him only, and follow our prophets, and also love and revere all the prophets that Subhanahu wa Ta'ala gave us, and to love them. They say no to that. Now, how can that be? Which man would do that? You think about that, my brothers and sisters. What man, deprived man, would come and try to stop you from learning and loving the prophets? Huh? But that racist Tubab is that way. He doesn't want you to do that. That's why I say, why I talk against this man. Oh, yes, he may kill me tomorrow. Oh, no doubt. But you know what? I die a martyr. Alhamdulillah. But I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to kiss his feet. They've tried everything here in Morocco, as I've said many times. They've tried many things, and some of them live around me now. Every place I go, they go around me. And I curse them. And those around who know me, I curse them for what they are. And I ask Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to take them, because they're the worst of human beings. And they give even the Tubabs who are benevolent a bad name, because it got to the point where it makes you think that all Tubab are wicked. But when in fact, that's not the case. But these here are such a bad representatives of human beings, period. So, that's off the topic in a way, but in some ways it's not. You know why? Because some of the Nawaqids have to deal with our worshiping this racist Tubab. That's right. Remember that. It has to do with the worshiping of this Tubab. And it's true. Look, number 3, shirk in worship of Allah. Okay, that's 1. But number 3, believing that the mushrikeen are not disbelievers. We have people who have been convinced by this racist man, okay, that his ways and means are superior. And we have people, we have blacks, we have Asians, we have differents who believe that, and Muslims also. So it does have some effect, and we do have the right to talk about it, because this is part of that. And they go after our prophet, and they go after our religion, and so we should be guarded against it. Now, let's say something about that. There'll be some here will listen and say, Yahya, I've been listening to him now for a couple of weeks here, and I know he doesn't like the Tubab. I never said that. If I didn't like the Tubab, all of them, I would say that. But I'm wrong as a Muslim, because I cannot. Because you do not judge all the people by some of the racist Tubab. I cannot do that. And my Muslim brothers who are in Europe, who are white, and matter of fact, I have one that is in the family because of my marriage, and in the family, and he's white, very white. And he's my brother in faith. I will always defend that. But those who are wrong, and I also have a very close friend as well, who is a famed attorney. He's white, he's not black. And so now these are good, honest, decent human beings who love Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and especially this particular attorney, 99.9% of his clients are melanated people. So how can you hate this man just because he's white? He's a Tubab. No, you cannot. His clients, 99.9% are that, and they have been wronged by the same people of his heritage. They've been wronged, and he comes to their defense. And I'll say this and I'll move on. This particular individual, I don't want to mention his name, this particular attorney, he got up in the middle of the night and to the detriment of his health. We had one brother was in dire need. He was in Tunis and they were just about ready to get him. And who was that? Was it the Mujahideen groups? No. Was it some other group, Islamic group? No. It was our government. They were trying to lure him into something. And he called my attorney and he said, you stay in your hotel. It may take me 3 days to get there, but you do not leave the grounds, because you leave the grounds, something may happen to you. He stayed there until he came there and got him and brought him back in safety. This is what kind of man he is. And he did this on his own. He did not have this particular individual did not have the money to pay for that. You guys see what I'm talking about? Good people are good people, regardless of what they are. We're talking about the same evil enemy who took us from Africa nearly 500 years ago, the same one who's killing us today. That's who I'm talking about. I'm talking about this particular Tuba. I'm not talking about my attorney or my brother in faith here in France, or my brothers in Bosnia or in Russia or in in Turkestan and Kurdistan, all those different places who are white. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those who fight us, who fight our religion, those who are killing and have been killing and still killing African Americans for 500 years. They said, we don't want to hear about that. They don't want us to know about that. They want us to keep that quiet. Well, let me say something to you on this, even though it's off the subject. But since they're starting to go after people just because they want to listen to my program and other programs, let me say this to you. You know, every generation of mine, the DNA is starting to come up. You know, I'm starting to find my relatives in Africa and stuff, and I'm starting to get a better understanding of my heritage. Do you know that every generation of my family have suffered under this racist Tuba? You know that? Every generation. Now you think about this, from post-slavery that I can count to, we have counts of now who our ancestors were after slavery, who came next, and so forth and so on. They all suffered under this man, the same program. For those who are not Africans, okay, and who may be listening to this, you understand something. Why I fight this man. He has fought every single generation of my family. Every single generation has not been free from this man's dorm, from his persecution of my people. My relatives all suffered, every single generation, under this man. And now somebody come to ask me, I'm supposed to love him? I'm supposed to come to kiss his feet? I'm supposed to talk and raise him up above subhanahu wa ta'ala when he's a killer? When he went after my ancestors, every single generation, he's after me now here. He's trying to stop us. He's the catalyst of stopping all the African Americans from getting citizenship in Africa, and we're supposed to go to kiss his feet? No, that's not normal. No, that's not normal. So yes, I say this in deference to this man. He went after every single generation of mine, and you're not gonna get nothing good coming out of my mouth again about this man. I will not. And the Arabs who are helping him, even around me today, who help him, I'm hoping that they understand. Some of them do, because some have come to me now and I saw almost tears in their eyes because they assisted this Tuba. And they did not understand what happened in America. Now they understand because they have been watching a program. And they say, you know what? I didn't know this was happening to your people there. They didn't know. I did not know they were killing your people for all these hundreds of years. They didn't understand that. But now some of them understand that. And they're ashamed. And if you understand the people, the Muslims, even though they may be wayward, but once they're given the light, subhanahu wa ta'ala gives, their remorse in their heart is strong. So, you know, we have to look at it for what it is. And in the Nwaaqid Islam is covering them. And especially the number 8, assisting them. Which melanated man, African, Pakistani, Samoan, Tongan, Filipino, Thai, American Indian, Tuareg. I mean, all the melanated people. How can you go to assist this man against another melanated people? This is what the Nwaaqid 8 talks about, supporting and assisting the Mushrikeen. They're talking about who? Mostly these people, the racist Tubab. How can any melanated person go to assist with these people who have blood on their hands? This is Nwaaqid and why this is so strong. So today, my brothers and sisters, I'm gonna be closing it pretty soon. And I talked a little bit about this to end the Nwaaqid Islam, but also that you can hear what I had to say about this issue. And also talk about the issue that we need to continue to talk. The world should understand the plight of the African, especially in America. We cannot be quiet about that. Now the other governments, I told you what happened the other day, the Indian, our sister, a beautiful sister, she came on TV and she got to chiding the Americans for their hypocrisy for coming over there talking about human rights. The Chinese, and when the Biden administration just started, they wanted to make a big show and they wanted to talk about human rights in China. And what did the ambassador say? You have the nerve to come here and talk about that when you're slaughtering black people. Okay, the Indian representative, she was beautiful. She had good lingo. She talked good English, and she talked about the hypocrisy about what they have done to the African Americans there. It's coming. The Russian president, yes, we may have some things about him. What will Putin say? Putin talked against him too, talking about, hey, what you doing over there? You killing blacks. We don't do that here. And matter of fact, let me tell you something. You guys do your research. This is funny. One of the most white states that you can think of, white states, is Russia. But do you know what they're doing for African Americans now? You guys better do some research. Do some research now. The blacks that are coming over there, they're recruiting us. Yes, we have sisters there on YouTube. And Putin has greeted some of them at the airport and gave them citizenship because what has happened to them in the United States. Can you believe that? And he's a Tubab. He's a Tubab. You see what I'm talking about? You can't go and judge all Tubab in one bowl. This man said on there, he said, look, he said, we won't have that in Russia. He said, we won't do that. He said, we will do everything in our power to stop anything like that. This is a Tubab talking. He's talking about the black people to come there. They won't be suffering from random marauding and killings like this happening over in all the American states. The Tubab roll up on some brothers, sitting there playing basketball, drinking a soda, and they come to shoot a couple of them, or roll up on a prospective brother who's getting ready to go to Harvard or something, and he's getting ready to go to see his girlfriend at McDonald's, and they roll up on him, and they know who he is, so they bait him as a young man, and they shoot and kill him. Putin says, hey, you guys come there. You come to Russia. He said, we don't do that here. This is a Tubab. Yes. Think about that, my brothers and sisters. Think about that. Think about that. And we have Muslims going to Russia and they're practicing their faith. And it's a Tubab state. You understand what I'm saying now? How we don't judge all by what some are doing. And I would encourage all of you to do your research. When I begin to find out what Putin is doing there for African Americans, I literally knocked on my butt, essentially, what I had learned. And so this is good news to say that the world is knowing what is happening in America. You, black man, there in America, you have to keep this going. You have to talk against this man for killing our ancestors. Every one of our generations, there's not one generation of African Americans their ancestors have not suffered under the hands of this man. You need to expose him. If the other people can get up there in India, China, Russia is talking against him, you should do the same thing. If they're brave enough to talk against this man, you do the same thing, because we should do this. We should. And we should keep the world to understand what has happened to us. What has happened to us over there in the United States, and now it's starting to happen to us here in Africa. What did they do to Malcolm? They tried to kill him in Africa. That's right, and almost got him. So we know there's a history of that. They'll do that, and you know what? All I ask, I don't pray for them. I pray against them, because there's certain ones that are so evil, you cannot ask for anything for them. The ones who may wrong you for a little bit of something, you ask, perhaps Supreme Watch can bring them to the right way. But these here like this, who are so devilish, like those now working under this ex-president Trump. I mean, who in their right mind go over there talking about praying for these people when they have the Antichrist of philosophy? You see, this is what is coming up now. And the wickedness is coming out of that from this man and people who's following him. It's almost like it's a precursor to when the Antichrist will appear. Okay, it's getting to that time, and now we're starting to see these kind of people roll up all over the place. The white supremacy is growing. The Muslims have to be ready for it. Don't ever think because you Arab that they don't like you. They've been killing you over there in America as well, even though you may be a little lighter skinned. But what do they call you there? They call you a name too. They call you San, Nigger. That's right. So many of the Arabs who didn't understand it at that time, they understand it now, because they call you raghead and they call you San, Nigger. So he doesn't love you either. So those who keep thinking, oh yeah, I'm Moroccan, I'm Algerian, he loves me, he don't. Because he has a name for you in the United States too. He call you what? San, Nigger. So you should think about that before you start giving your love and start saying that this man love you. He don't. He doesn't love anybody except his own kind. And we know that for a fact. And this is why they do what they do. So my brothers and sisters, I talked a little bit today about Islam, but Pan-Africanism as well, but mostly about injustice. And I had to say those things because it's trifling when you see pornography, you see a lot of stuff, even in my account, that they send to my account. And yet nobody seems to monitor that to rid that. But yet I give a speech talking about our Lord, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and tried to help people. They want to censor that. They want to go after Muslims who watch that. And yet and still, they'll send a vile filth to my account. Naked, two-bob woman, a lot to my account, YouTube and to Facebook. Nobody stops that. I complain. I scream and holler. Facebook goes after me. They say, oh, there's something wrong with your account. It's something, they blame me for it. They know who's doing this stuff. I don't put that stuff in my account. They put that there. And yet they don't go after the people because they know why, because they look just like them. That's why they allow that to happen. And you see what I mean? They don't stop that filthy, vile stuff. They bring in the most filthiest stuff in my account. They don't say nothing. Here I'm talking about only bringing somebody to Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they want to censor that. They want to go after my brothers and sisters who want to follow this. And yet still, if my brother and sister go to embrace all that filth and pornography, they say nothing. What does that tell you? Because he want to take you to the fire. So be careful and be wary of him. Never keep your eyes off him. Always remember what he is. And you Muslims, you too, because over the history, why we call them crusaders? Because they've been killing since the 12th century, the Muslims. They came into Muslim land and they killed, and you cannot deny that. And they killed, relentlessly. And the stories, the journals that was written, they said that some of the walls are full of blood. The levels of 3 feet, 4 feet of blood from all the Muslims that were slaughtered when they came into the Middle East, the Crusaders. So they have had a long history of this. And you have to always remember that and talk against the injustice. Never, ever allow this to be swept under the rug or look at it another way and say, we should forgive them. You cannot forgive something that's already happened. But his descendants are still doing that today. You must talk against them. You must pray against them. You must learn your religion. If you are African born in America, you do everything to go back to the essence of who you are. Don't emulate him. Don't follow him. Don't act like him. Don't take his name. Don't take his religion. The Africans who came over again into America, they what? They had African traditional religions or they were Muslim. They were the two. That was it. They weren't Christian. They didn't know anything about Christianity. So where did this Christianity come from over there? They taught them their Christianity, not from Isa alayhi salatu salam. They're not teaching you that. They're teaching you what they think it should be. So be careful of that, my brothers and sisters. Please be careful of that. Be wary of that. And always, always pray. always ask subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. Always ask subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you from the evil ones like this. Pray against them. Arm yourself with your knowledge. Always think, pull up the books on your ancestors, strengthen your knowledge. We have many ancestors. How many times you heard me talk about all these beautiful ancestors we have here in Africa? You read on it, strengthen yourself, strengthen your blackness, your Africanness. You strengthen it. And if you're Muslim, you read those books on all of these scholars and all of these mujahideen. Strengthen yourself so you don't fall under the spell of this wicked Tubab who's killing. Okay? If you don't, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you don't do this, you see the Nwaaqid about not getting the knowledge, and then you may fall prey to this, which we have brothers do, who go under the spell of these people and they can't get out. Many of them want to get out, they can't because they will kill them now. They shouldn't have went in the first place, but now they had no other choice. They have to stay in it, even though in their heart they know it's wrong, but now they're trapped. But if you had avoided this, if you had understood the Nwaaqid al-Islam, you would have never joined them because you don't know that it took you out of the religion. You don't know that, and you would have avoided that. But those brothers did not understand that. They didn't know. They did not have their knowledge, and they speak Arabic, many of them. And we have African Americans who are now joining that too. They have no excuse because they know what the Tubab has done to their ancestors. So we have both of those people. We have the Arabs who have been joining with him against the law of subhanahu wa ta'ala. They speak Arabic. They have no excuse. They know what the text says. They know that you are not to go to join them. They know that the subhanahu wa ta'ala tell you that don't follow and believe in their Aqeedah. It's false. And they did it. And now they're in trouble for it because they can't break loose, because the minute they break loose, they'll be killed. You see how dangerous it is when you follow a wicked man. And wickedness knows no color. Black, white, green, yellow. If he's wicked, period. But we're talking about the man who has the power wielding around this world, and it's them. And they are wicked, and they're going after everybody. And you see the sorry state we're in. We're in a bad state now, inside the world. The climate change, the world economy, all under their tutelage, and you see what has happened. So my brothers and sisters, I thank you, my dear sister Abina, for showing up, and my dear sister Amina, and also my brother who wrote earlier today. I don't want to mention because I don't want to bring him any pressure from the enemy. And I'll leave you, my brothers and sisters, with, I'm not going to ask you to follow me or to, because I understand the dangers. Those who have ways to learn, and if they want to follow, and you do it in such a way that don't put you on the radar, I would not, again, beg you to put yourself in peril. You have families to feed, and you have people you have to watch out for. I understand that because we live in that time. It is such a shame that it has to be that way, but this is the way the world today is so wicked, and the wickedness is very, very strong. Mystic, thank you, my dear sister, for the kind words. And, just be mindful of that, my brothers and sisters, and remember something, that you as a African born in America or in any other part of the world, you are in a special class because of what has happened to you. You be mindful of that, be careful of that. Don't let this man exterminate you and your seed to in the future. Be careful of that, because this is the objective. They want to clean out Africa so they can take out all the minerals and all the wealth from it. They're already doing it, but they want us out of here, and they want to be able to take it freely. So you have to be very mindful of that and be very careful of this man. Don't lose your guard. Always watch what he's doing. Be very careful and mindful of him, and love the people who are righteous, regardless who they are. If he's Mexican, if he's white, if he's Japanese, he's black, he's Arab, he's white, he's fat, he's skinny. If they're good people, righteous people, that's who you gravitate to. Don't don't just hate for the sake of hating, okay? Because there's African Americans too I talk about as well, as you know, and I just don't give a blanket of, endorsement for all African Americans, because I've been on them, those ones who's helping the Tubab now, and those who are doing things against other Africans, even in Africa. I talk against them as well, and I lump them as apostates and as a black Tubab. This is what I call them for what they're doing against other Africans. So, my brothers and sisters, today has been a special day, so to speak. I talked harshly, but I had to say what I had to say because I had to say the truth. And I'm hoping that everybody understands what your older brother is saying here, and that I'm not here to offend any of my brothers and sisters, but I am here to defame the racist Tubab, as you understand me, knowing I don't like them. And so I talk against them, but others, no, I'm all for them. As I said earlier, the people of goodwill, I don't care who you are, what color, I'm there. I'm with you. I shake your hand and everything. But those like this ones who's been killing us for these many centuries, no, I have nothing to do with them, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala tells me, and I follow Subhanahu wa ta'ala. I follow my Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. That's what I suggest all the Muslims that you do. And you should take this thing and always hold it. And remember what I always say, to make sure you confirm that. I say, Innani akulu ma yaqul. I say what the Quran says, what Subhanahu wa ta'ala say. Inni akulu ma yaqul. What the Prophet says. I say those things. So my brothers and sisters, Mystic, thank you, my dear sister, for showing up. And the other brothers and sisters who are there looking, and those in the future. And I leave you with the beautiful words of Jinnah. Salamu alaikum, rahmatullahi barakatuhu.